What's going on, backpackers? Don't forget these essential gear items. Today's video is all about those essential gear items, or the essential gear items that I think that you should consider the next time that you head out on the trail. But first, if you're new to the channel, my name is Dave and this is Off Grid. I'm all about backpacking, hiking, camping, and gear. If you're into those things too, do me a favor and take a look at that subscribe button down below and that bell notification right next to it so that you can be aware every single time I post a new video. So let's get into the list. Today, this is why you're here. I'm going to be talking about what I think are essential gear items, and they're kind of a little offbeat. Some of them are, you might think might be coming out of left field, but you know, these are gear items that I will not leave home without, particularly when I'm going on my backpacking trips. So I value them quite highly. You might have a different opinion, that's okay too, but let's just get into the list right now. And I didn't even count them all, so I don't know exactly how many they are. I'm not sure if I'm going to post how many are going to be in the title of the video or not, but I'm going to break this into a couple of different sections here. The first section is going to be kind of like a usual section, or the usuals, kind of like things that, you know, you're probably a little bit more familiar with and you'd probably think of as kind of like a no-brainer, like, yeah, of course you're going to bring those and those are essential. And then I have a few others that are those off-beaten ones that I'm going to get into a little bit later on in the back half of the video that I consider important to me personally, and you should also consider them as well. So let's just get right into those usual type of items. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is going to be some form of sun protection. So I have here just a small stick. This is like I think it's like a 0.5 ounce, something like that. This is a Neutrogena kids stick, and basically it's just a small tube that you crank up and you kind of just apply to your skin. I've gotten into the habit of wearing like sun hoodies lately, so basically like long sleeve protection, not only for like my pants and the bottom half of my body, but also for the upper half. And then the sun hoodie is also great because you can take the hoodie and put it up over your head and get a little bit more protection around your neck, especially if you combo it up with a hat or a buff or something like that. You can really kind of like lock down the sun protection when you're out there. But particularly on those warmer days, especially during summer and stuff like that, it's going to be like way too hot to try and just like layer up all over the place. So I usually just carry something small like this. Before this, I had a great place to go to is Target, because they have a travel size spray on one too. So if you like the aerosol cans they have, they're not particularly great for the environment, but if you like that, they have like 1.5 ounce to 2 ounce style of like a travel spray can for sunscreen. But I like to go with a stick to apply it just mostly to my face, because I usually like to have long sleeves, like I said. But sunscreen is definitely going to be number one. This is a 70 SPF. I don't think anything over 50 SPF is going to do you any better than the 50, but I usually end up going a little bit higher just because I'm not really looking to tan when I'm out there. I'm just looking to get complete protection from the sun. So sunscreen is going to be the number one item. All right, so the next one is going to be some form of bug protection. So I have here, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, one of the most up and coming, I guess you'd say, forms of bug protection has been picaridin lately. And mostly it comes in some form of lotion or some sort of spray. But I was really looking for a super lightweight option to bring with me when I'm out in the backcountry, and I actually was able to find picaridin in these wipes. This is a 20% picaridin wipe, and it's from Natrapel. This isn't really like a plug for their company or anything, but I was able to find these in wipes. So these are just individual wipes that I can like rip off and use for like a one shot. Supposedly gives you 12 hours of protection, but picaridin is becoming super popular because, unlike DEET can end up eating through the materials of whatever clothing or your watch or anything else that you might have contact with it. So picaridin is just a little bit safer and more like clothing friendly. Going along with the bug protection, I'd also recommend something like this. This is a bug head net. It's just a simple mesh that you can throw over your head, particularly for the gnats, those you know, meddlesome bugs that like bug spray does nothing against. If you're dealing with larger swarms of them and, you know, you just can't seem to get rid of them and they're like torturing you by constantly being in your face, a bug head net is crucial for giving you that peace of mind. Hopefully you never need those types of things, but it's definitely a peace of mind to have that piece of kit as part of an option for you. All right, the third item that I'm going to get into right now is going to be safety against other types of animals. I'm in SoCal, in Southern California, so I have a higher concentration of bears. I think it's mostly black bears in my area, but even if you don't have bears around, I think, you know, these next couple items are particularly great for just anything else that you might happen to encounter, or something that you can kind of scare away before you ever even encounter those animals. So what I mean by that is the first one I have here, and you might think I'm silly, but this is basically just a bell. This is called a bear bell, and it just sounds like, you know, something that was taken off of like Santa's sleigh or whatever. It's just a jingle bell, ultimately, is what it is. But you attach it to the outside of your backpack, and as you're just kind of like walking on trail, it'll jingle a little bit. But that's basically in preventative care to make sure that whatever animal hears that sound will hear you coming basically a mile away and then just kind of avoid you. Now, it's not going to repel every single type of animal, but particularly for bears, bears are usually non-confrontational. As long as they can hear you before you end up startling them, then they'll just end up avoiding you. So I definitely recommend something like that over having to remember to say like, hey bear, or something like that, calling out or trying to be loud by other methods. Just not having to think about it as much. Just having a device like that, like attached to your backpack. It's really lightweight too, so having something like that is really good for giving you that peace of mind. Going along with bear safety and a ton of other types of safety would be a bear mace. So this is by Frontiersman. Again, I'm not sponsored or affiliated with any of these products I'm talking about today, but this is a can of bear mace, and really what it is, it's just a highly concentrated, longer, bigger, spread out spray of like a pepper spray that you're probably all familiar with. And this is great not only for bears, but it can work for anything else really that you don't want to be dealing with. So, you know, if there's mountain lions, if there's bobcats, if there's wolves, if there's elk or deer, anything else that you might come in contact with that might be an issue, you can use this and it's going to be highly effective. Or even if you face other weirdos on the trail, you have some strange characters coming up on you, you know, unless you're packing something else, and I'm not a gun wielder, so I wouldn't even consider something like that. But you know, this is great to have and definitely gives you a huge peace of mind when you're out there as well. So definitely bring some form of safety when you're out there. I'm always going to stress that on my channel. I really want you guys to be safe when you're trying to enjoy the backcountry. All right, and the last one in the usuals category, I consider it more usual, but maybe not. It might actually be teetering on the brink of both of those types of categories here, but I'm going to recommend some form of body and or hand lotion. So the one that works particularly well for me, and this isn't a travel size, it's a huge size. This is O'Keeffe's Working Hands, and this is you know, a really huge size of it, but I go through this like crazy and it really works for me. If you're prone to having any sort of like dry or cracked hands, particularly when you're outside and you're in the elements and your hands are in the dirt or dealing with your tent or processing firewood and stuff like that, you want to make sure that you're protecting your hands mostly, but it's also good to use on your body as well. So especially if you're going into those colder seasons and you're backpacking out there, you want to make sure that you're taking care of that dry skin, because dry skin leads to cracks and bleeding and stuff like that, and you don't want to really have to dig into your first aid kit to deal with those types of injuries. So if you can prevent it and never get to that point, then you definitely want to consider something like that. They do make a travel size version of O'Keeffe's Working Hands, but it's in more of a liquidy version. This is literally like the one that I have here is literally like paraffin wax. Like an ingredient in here is paraffin, and it works extremely well for, you know, those wetter environments and things like that. I just think that, you know, this works really great. So again, not affiliated with any of these products. It's just my own personal opinion, but I would definitely recommend some form of lotion when you're out there, because me particularly, I've got like dainty hands. I work, you know, behind a desk for a day job, so my hands are like veal. So I definitely need something like that when I'm out there on my backpacking trips. All right, what is next here? All right, the second half of the video is going to be some of the lesser known ones, or it's not like you've never heard of these products before, but maybe you haven't really thought to bring them on your backpacking trips, and this might help in some areas. So let's dive right into it. Let me show you what I mean. The first one I want to talk about here, particularly for me, and this might age me a little bit. I'm not like really old or anything, but you know, the one thing that I always go through like crazy, and you might make fun of me for it, but I always make sure that I bring a packet of tissues with me. This is a travel size just from Kleenex, and you know, I always burn through at least one of these on a weekend trip. My nose runs like crazy. If there's like variations in temperatures and things like that, you got that old man, you know, style of like your nose just runs like a faucet. So tissues come in handy for me. I don't like to use, you know, my microfiber towels for blowing my snot all over the place. Or any other towel for that matter that I'm using for another reason. So I just like to use tissues. Yeah, I'm packing out a little bit more trash at the end of the day, but those definitely come in handy. So tissues is the first one that I have here on some of the things that you might not have thought about. Over to the second one on this particular list, and I actually have it in the bag here, so let me get it out off screen a little bit real quick. And it's one of these. This is a flosser, a single-use flosser. Again, not great for the environment. You can pack just a regular floss if you want to just rip out some extra yardage of a normal floss. I like these individual flossers. They do have environmentally friendly ones too that they make out of bamboo that I'm considering getting too, but these are great. They actually like kind of fold out and become a toothpick as well too. If you have the micro SD from Swiss Army, they include a little toothpick in there as well, but sometimes toothpicks don't always do it, and you need a little bit of floss to get around, you know, those teeth to pull out, you know, meats or anything else that might get wedged up in there that a toothpick just won't get out. So flossers is another item that I think could really make or break, you know, having a good time when you're out there on your backpacking trips. And the third option that I have for you in some of the ones that you might not have thought of, but you definitely should have thought of this item, and I don't have an example with me here today. It's the only one I don't have with me here today, and that is some form of electrolyte. They have tablets for that. They have powders for that. You definitely want to make sure that you're keeping your hydration levels up, and you want to make sure that the electrolytes are included in that hydration as well, because you're sweating a lot when you're out there. You're losing a lot through your skin when you're out there, so you want to make sure that you replenish that, and electrolytes goes a long way in making sure that you maintain that energy level and your activity level when you're out there. So electrolytes are really important as well. All right, another one I'm going to throw in here that is actually a late edition. I don't have it in my notes right here, but I just got it, and I think might come in handy when I'm out there. And this is AntiChafing, basically Body Glide is what it's called, and it's similar to the sunscreen that I had mentioned before. It just comes in this tube, this roll up, punch out type of tube that you know, twist at the bottom here. And this is great, particularly if you're prone to chafing. I'm not in general. I think, you know, if you have more of the synthetic style of clothing, it should go a long way with helping you out there. But if you are prone to chafing, it's definitely good to have some form of anti-chafing. I guess this would be like a balm. You can use your lip balm if you apply it to some TP or something like that, if you wanted to go that route too and really save the, I think this weighs about 1.5 ounces. But again, this is the 0.8 ounce version. This is like the smallest that you can get. But I definitely think it's worth it to have something like this, because, you know, again, it's better to have something and not need it than the other way around. So, you know, this will definitely give you some sort of peace of mind when you're out there, particularly if you're prone to chafing. And then the last item that I got for you guys today is going to be, and you might laugh at this one when I tell you it, but, you know, for me, it is an essential item. I have to have this piece of gear. It is super important for me to always bring this piece of gear, and it does kind of act as double duty, and I am talking about working gloves. These are and this particular brand is called CLC Work Gear. And, you know, these gloves have come in handy in more ways than one. I don't know if you can see the wear and tear on mine that I have already. I've used these a bunch, not only around the house, but also on my backpacking trips. They kind of stink too. Like, I tried to Febreze them down and everything, but they kind of stink. But I love having these. So these not only act as a little bit of insulation on those colder nights to just wrap your hands up, or those cold mornings when you're starting early and you're hitting the trail and it's just a little bit too cold on on, you know, especially if you're using like trekking poles and stuff like that. This just works as a good insulating barrier, even though it's very, you know, minimal and small. They definitely have lighter weight options in these. These kind of weigh, I think, closer to like 3 ounces. So they have options that are like 2 ounces and under to kind of insulate you and keep you a little bit warmer by all the top name brands. But I particularly like these because they serve double duty. And the second duty that they serve, who says that? But the second purpose that they serve is to act as, you know, what I basically said that they are. They're work gloves. So if you're processing firewood, if you're, you know, digging into the ground to try and make way for your steaks, or you're pulling them back out during the day and you got a bunch of dirt and mud, maybe it rained the night before or whatever, it just helps to keep your hands cleaner. I end up bringing, I don't have it with me, but I have a Ziploc bag that I actually put these into and kind of keep that wrapped up as well too. I like to keep things as clean as possible. Most people don't really care about that. They just like to throw whatever dirty stuff they have in their backpack and they're cool with it. But you know, this kind of goes along with protecting your hands too, kind of with the lotion here as well. You know, you know, if I can prevent having to, you know, put my hands in a situation where they're going to get scraped up or whatever, then I'm going to reach for an option like this. And I think these are really great for those particular types of instances. So these act not only as, like, you know, working around camp, clearing debris, you know, working with my tent and, you know, just clearing the dirt out and stuff like that, but it also acts as a little bit of insulation on those colder days. So that's pretty much going to do it for my list of essential gear items. But I want to hear what you guys have to think down in the comments below. Let me know what your essential gear items are. Let me know what I missed from this list here. Again, this is a very personalized list for me. These are the things that I always make sure that I leave the house with whenever I'm going on either a car camping trip or a backpacking trip. I have to have these items with me, and they just increase my overall enjoyment of the outdoors. But that's going to do it for me this week, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, if you're headed off grid, make sure you do your research and you make it a safe one. I'll catch you on the next one.